Hey INFPs, it's time to talk about INFP in a state of depression. Okay, so the first thing you will want to realize is that when the INFP operates in a state of depression, and there are different forms of depression we're talking about, but I'll focus on the most standard, normal way of depression. And in that sense, this depression often is associated with the feeling of being on autopilot. In a depression, what you'll first see is that your dominant functions and personality traits are subdued. Your introversion is in a minimal state, your intuition is in a minimal state, your feeling is in a minimal state, and your perceiving is in a minimal state. And you'll tell me, no, Erik, when I'm depressed, I become more introverted, I isolate myself, I withdraw. But what introversion really is not isolation or withdrawing. And that's very important to realize. Introversion is a state of inner thinking. And if you ask yourself honestly, if you think back to times when you felt depressed, how much did you really spend time on really reflecting on and connecting with your own inner world? And to which extent did you feel really connected to that? And to which extent did you feel cut off from it? And what you'll find is most likely you were actually quite cut off from this inner world. You were not in your introversion. You were alone, yes, maybe you isolated yourself, but you were not connecting with your introversion. And that's very important to remember, because depression is really a feeling of not being connected with yourself, not being in flow, not being in zen, not being who you are, in a sense. You feel cut off from it. And here, what you'll see here is these underlying causes here. Extroversion, sensing, thinking, and judging. And you'll notice that these bars are unconscious. They are not active influences in your life. When you are depressed, what you'll find is you hold on to deep pressure from these latent underlying traits. So these are the underlying causes of depression. Essentially, what happens in depression is we tend to hold on to unconsciously deep feelings of stress from extroverted sensory thinking and judging traits, right? So here INFPs tend to have a lot of stress and anxiety inside them that they are not dealing with in relation to feeling disconnected from or alienated from their tribe or community, not feeling that you are connected to others and that you're supposed to be or you should be, not feeling like you're able to deal with the norms and expectations and conventions and traditions of everyday life, not feeling like you're able to deal with what life throws at you, that you're never enough, that you're never able to deal with it, right? Not feeling like you are really connected to your thinking, that you're worried a lot about what's going to happen. You don't feel like you're good enough. You worry about your competence, your performance, your productivity, your efficiency. And most of all, as also, what you can say is there is a feeling of being disconnected from your judging, feeling like you're not able to stay up or stay on track with professional expectations, goals, projects. You're not as far along as you're supposed to be. You're not staying on curve. You're not following the pattern that you're supposed to, right? You're not doing what it is that you feel your overarching goal is supposed to be, right? So recognize that these are the unconscious drives that are sapping your energy and making it hard for you to function. Your perception that you should be so popular, so social, so much more socially successful. You're feeling like you should be so much more in line with the norms of everyday society, that you don't fit in. The feelings that you're not good enough, that you're not competent enough, those things are sapping your strength and keeping you from really connecting with your feelings, your intuition, your intuition, your perceiving. You are essentially not able to adapt, not able to feel, not able to imagine, not able to learn, not able to really introspect. So that's what you're missing. Essentially, these things are not there because you feel like you should be doing this, but you're not doing this, right? So you're not really engaging with these functions. They're not there. They are in your back of your head, They are the underlying causes that are causing you pressure and causing you to become lethargic, and the outcome is you become like on autopilot. You're in a barely responsive, low energy state of mind. You don't feel motivated because you don't have your feelings in line. You don't feel confident because you're not attached to your adaptability and to your inner chaos. You don't feel creative. You don't feel that you have wisdom or insight into what's going on in life and in the world. So that's the feeling of not being connected and being on autopilot. So essentially, when you're dealing with all these things, the first thing you have to really do is confront these feelings to whatever extent you're capable of, understanding they're heavy and understanding that they can feel overwhelming. You might want to avoid them, but trying to confront them as much as you can, but also to minimize them, to size them down, to get rid of unnecessary expectations and demands, to lower pressure here, recognizing I don't have to be this J, I don't have to be this kind of a person, I don't have to be an ESTJ, I don't have to be that productive, I don't have to be that social, I don't have to be that in line with norms and traditions of everyday life, I don't have to go along with the demands of productivity. I can minimize and make these demands smaller and more manageable. Essentially, you want to really start sizing down. Embrace minimalism here. Downscale to the absolute essentials, the bare minimum. And here, what you'll already see is you're going to, by doing that, be able to tap into more energy, more calm, more motivation, and more confidence. Essentially, the more you size this down, the more confident you feel, and the more you'll gain access to introversion, intuition, feeling, and perceiving by lowering this. But you'll also find that when you have more energy here, you'll have more energy there. There is this thing called the pendulum effect. The pendulum is how our energy swings. Essentially, imagine a gauge. Imagine this being your dominant functions and traits, your dominant personality, and this being your inferior personality. And remember that if you can allow yourself to swing in here, you're going to eventually swing back here. And the energy that you get from this is going to help you change and challenge and face things that happen here. So being in touch with your feelings, by being emotionally aligned with yourself and what you want, and by having access to insight and introspection, you'll find that you have more energy to socialize, to engage with others, to deal with the everyday concerns of life, to be productive, to be efficient, to be effective, and to work towards goals that are important to you. And that is how you overcome INFP depression. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to understand more about the flow state, check out patreon.com/Erik Thor, where I have my exclusive member-only series with insights into INFPs and all the different personnel types and energy and flow and stress management. See you all there, and see you all in the next video.